Alright, what is going on, everybody? This is Beebs, and today what I'm going to be showing you is a Leapquake Barb video tutorial. This is going to cover everything from skills and why they work and why the synergy of them are good, and also gear, mostly for T4 to T6. If you want advice on anything lower than that, just post a comment, and I'll do my best to get back to you and let you know what you need to be doing for gearing at that point. So first of all, let's start with the skills, because these are pretty basic and they're pretty unanimous throughout every single person's build of this. I will go over some options that can be different from what I'm showing here, but let's first go through what I use and why I use it. My primary generator is Frenzy Maniac. Really, I kind of don't even need this, but I still keep it because I hate when I run out of Wrath, or not Wrath, sorry, Fury. Drives me nuts. So I use this, and I use the secondary on it that increases my damage by 2.5%, and that stacks, so up to 5 times. So you can like be doing an extra 15% damage or something like that, or 12.5%. Which is really nice because you can go in and use 5 frenzies and then Leapquake, and it does an additional 10% plus damage. So your secondary is going to be Hoda. So the reason why I use Hoda is that 1, it deals a lot of damage really fast, and 2, generally once I use my Leapquakes, you only need a few of them to finish off the pack that you're trying to kill. And this also does a bit of AoE, so it kind of gets more than one enemy. Another option for this would be Whirlwind with your Fire Rune, and that's basically, you only want to use that if you're having trouble with Fury and you're not getting enough Hodas in, and also if you're having trouble surviving, because this, if you have life per hit, this is really nice, and you can basically keep your Fury if you have enough generation, so you can always be spending, which will help with your passive that I'll describe later. The secondary on this is going to be Smash Fire. It's additional 640% damage as fire. It's self-explanatory. For this build, this is a fire build. So for tactics, I use Battle Rage into the fray, and this is basically just because, as I'll show you later, I have low crit hit chance, and that crit hit chance really helps me. And if you've got 20 enemies around you, you're gonna crit 70% of them if you even have 50%. So I mean, just basically, this is really nice. Another one you could use there is, if I can find it, let me look for it, is Overpower with the Killing Spree, which just is a base crit hit chance increase for 5 seconds. And as you'll see here, the cooldown's 12, and crit hits reduce the cooldown by 1 second. So basically, if you're paying attention, you can have that proc for a constant 8% buff to your crit hit chance. But Into the Fray is still what I use, and it's the easiest, especially for people with low attention spans playing this game. I'm one person who, when I'm playing for long hours, I kind of forget to check my cooldown sometimes, which is stupid. But if you're one of those people, Into the Fray is a good call because you don't have to think about it, and it's constantly doing it, and the cooldown is... There's no cooldown, it's just 20 Fury, and it lasts 120 seconds, so it's 2 minutes. So you barely have to think about it. So I'm just going to hurry up and go to Warcry. This is basically key for everybody. It's just a flat 20% damage reduction and 20% all-res buff. If you wanted to, you could use Warcry Charge, which some people do, and they use that as a Fury generator, so they would get rid of their left click, which is my Frenzy, for that, and they just use it when they need extra. But honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. Impunity is great, helps you survive. Now, these are the 2 primary damage dealers here, and I'll explain why when I get to gearing. If you know anything about the Leapquake build, you'll know. This is important. So Leap has to be on, obviously, because of the 4-set bonus with your Weight of the Earth set. But you need to be using your Earthquake, Molten Fury secondary. And I was stupid when I first started using this build. I didn't know, but I can demonstrate here. So I'm going to switch to Chilling Earth just to show this. But when you leap, the earthquakes that are generated by that weight of the earth set are based on the earthquake that you're using in your EQ slot. So what I did is I was using Battle Rage and I was using Overpower instead of having an earthquake. And what that was doing is I was sacrificing, let's see, 4,500 minus 2,600. I was sacrificing an extra 1,900 weapon damage as fire, because I didn't know that you had to have this set. And the generic, what it automatically does with the leap quakes, it automatically shows fire. It just does the standard earthquake. But you want to have earthquake, molten fury somewhere in here, because if you don't, you're going to be sacrificing 1,900% weapon damage as fire, which is huge, as you're going to see in a minute, and as I saw when I figured it out. So leap, I use Call of the Area, and here's why. You're going to say you're running out and you're about to run out through your leaps, and there's some enemies that aren't exactly all clustered together. What this does is it pulls everybody towards you, and then they're all stuck within your leap quakes. They're stuck within that fire ground effect, and you're going to be dealing a lot more damage to a lot more enemies. The damage is the same, but more enemies get pulled in. Some people use... where is it? Some people use the stun one. I think that's basically if they need more survivability. This is okay for T6 if you really need to stop enemies from hurting you. It'll stun them for 3 seconds, and that'll keep them on the effect for 3 seconds. But what I find is leaping, pulling them in you, and then using your Hoda as they're having fire damage put on them is just really effective, and it kills a lot more enemies a lot quicker. So these are your 6 active skills. And I'm going to show you how to use them at the end of this video. For your passives, Bloodthirst is standard for any build with your Barbarian. This is basically what I use to survive. I'll show you that I don't have much healing at all. Every time you spend Fury, you're healing 578 life, which for me, my Fury bar is 107 right now. So 107 times 578 is a lot. And as you'll see when I'm using Hoda, I do spend a lot of Fury. Now, Brawler for me is standard because there's always going to be a lot of enemies around you. And this is a straight up 20% damage buff, assuming 3 enemies are within your range. And almost all the time they are. Now, if you're in a boss fight, or this isn't as effective with the Rift Guardians, but this is still really, really effective and really fast when you're just running through rifts. Ruthless, I use this. Now here's an option. Instead of using Ruthless, this is big because you deal 40% extra damage to enemies below 30% health. It's really fast. You'll see when I'm playing, if you pay attention to the health bars, when I get to 30% health, their life just bleeds off really fast. Basically, it's granting you an additional half of your damage. So you're doing an extra third, or an extra half. 1.5 times just from this when they're under 30%. But as a secondary to that, you could use Weapons Master. So for me, I'm using maces, which is what I think everybody should use for this build. So it's going to give you 5% additional crit hit chance. Now keep in mind, when you're using Weapons Master, only your primary hand, which is the left hand of your fighter, when you see them, the left hand in your inventory, only that only that weapon is modified by this. So if you want to be getting 5% crit hit chance, but say you have the Shard of Hate in your left hand on your inventory, you're going to be getting 8% crit increased damage instead of 5% critical hit chance. So this is good for if you need an additional crit hit chance. A lot of people used to use this. This isn't effective anymore. This used to be that I forget what it was, but I think it would reduce the cooldown of Earthquake. But it's not really effective anymore. So Bloodthirst, Ruthless, Superstition I used because it's a 20% resistance buff. I mean, for me, I can't get rid of that. If you, by some miracle, don't need that, or if you just play in a way that you don't get hurt a lot, I would recommend Unforgiving, just to make sure you never run out of Fury. Or you could use, where is it at? You could use Berserker Rage, which as long as you have full Fury, it's another 25% additional damage buff, which would give you the enemies below 30% health. It would give you like an extra 80% buff. But that's only when you're at maximum Fury, so you would basically have to Leap Quake, get to max Fury, and then just not hit anything and waste any Fury. These are your actives and passives, and I'll show you how to use your actives when I actually show about 5 minutes of gameplay at the end of this video. So now we're going to move on to gear. So the gear here, the biggest key to this is the foreset of the I think it's the weight of the earth is what it's called, the foreset, or no, that's the pants. It's something of the earth. Might of the earth, I think, is what it is. So you need this foreset. Now there's 5 pieces to this, and I do have all 5 if I can find my chest, which I think I might have gotten rid of actually by some stupid reason. But there's 5 of these, so use whatever you need. I personally like using these 4. Oh, these are the only 4. Sorry, stupid mistake by me. These are the only 4 that there are. Now, if you have a Ring of Royal Grandeur, and you only have 3, that's fine too, obviously. And if you have a Ring of Royal Grandeur, and say you want to use Mage Fist for your glove or Hexing Pants for your pants, you can do that too. I don't like to do that just because it keeps it very basic, and I like to have my Sojourn. Just because of the amount of extra fire damage and elite damage that gives me. I mean, that gives me a huge bump for elites. So you want that foreset. Now here's what the foreset does. The foreset gives you an earthquake when you land after using leap every time. Now, so it's giving you an additional earthquake every time you leap. Then the next key to this build, the second most important thing after that set, is your LUT socks, or loot socks as some people call them. Now the key on this is the secondary. Leap can be cast again within 2 seconds before the cooldown begins. So basically when you leap once, leap twice, leap 3 times. This allows you to generate 3 leap quakes for every 1 cooldown of leap. So these last for 8 seconds. So between the 3, the last one is just barely going to be falling away when this comes back. So you'll be able to cast 3 leap quakes every 12 seconds, which is this combination is insane for damage dealing. I've dealt 25-30 million crits just from having these stacked on top of each other very easily. It tears through T6 pretty relatively easily. You have to kite because, as you'll see, your toughness isn't going to be too high with this build. But other than that, it's okay. Now the next biggest key for me is Cinder Coat. This is huge to any fire build, but especially to this build, because of the reduction of fire skills cost and the fire skills on the Hoda. It allows me to cast about 3 to 4 extra Hammer of the Ancients before I run out of Fury from full Fury. This is just huge. This is standard for any fire build. Everybody needs a Cindy. I was so happy when I finally got one that rolled pretty decently. This is nearly perfect. The cost of fire skill reduction is pretty low. It can go up to 30, but other than that, it's a pretty perfect roll. Belt. So for me, I have a Witching Hour, which I got probably about a month ago. It was during a time when I was playing for 16 hours straight. And this is great. If you need more survivability, you can use something like where's it at? Use something like a saffron wrap or a gold wrap, whatever. Just vitality, all res, strength, and percent life are nice. My Templar's tweaking out over here. Now, so we've gone over the foreset, the chest, the belt. We'll do Reaper's Wraps are big because this is just huge for me, any build. This is huge. They restore 30% of your primary resource every time you pick up a health globe. So 4 health globe drops, you've gotten 120% of your primary resource. I mean, it's very simple. That also has fire skill damage on it. I rolled out for crit hit chance, which is nice. But this is adding fire skill, and it's allowing you to have a lot more times that you can cast Hoda before you run out of Fury, which is also replenishing your health. Unity, this is only on when you have a follower. If you're playing with 4 people, most people don't run Unity, so it's not worth it. You can run your Ring of Royal Grandeur, and maybe use Hexing Pants down here or a Mage Fist on your for your gloves. But Unity for followers, and then just I would say Ring of Royal Grandeur, and then you can swap out one of these 2 for a better item that has more fire damage, or the Hexing Pants, which I'll show you in a second. Stone of Jordan, another standard. This roll I re-rolled for perfect fire damage. It's got pretty good damage against elites. The only thing I'm pissed off about is that I couldn't get crit hit chance on it. Been trying to find another one since I got this. I got this probably 4 months ago, and I haven't found another one yet. And I've been grinding trying to find them ever since. But Soj is basically standard. It's giving you an extra 50% damage buff basically by looking at it that way. Now, Amulet. Your ideal amulet when 2.1.0 comes out, which currently the PTR is being in, is going to be your Hellfire amulet. So farm those keys and get ready to run Ubers. But for now, anything with fire skill, strength, crit hit damage, and crit hit chance, this is a really nice one for the crit hit damage and crit hit chance. They're basically perfect. Your best in slot here is going to be the, let me look at Haunt of Vaxo, which I found and I don't know where I'm keeping it. Where are you? I can't find it. It's the Haunt of Vaxo. It looks like a little purple pill. It can roll. Here it is. It can roll fire damage, strength, vit, crit hit chance, crit hit damage. Basically, your best would be if you got fire damage, strength, crit hit chance, and crit hit damage would be the absolute best roll you could possibly get. But you could also interchange that fire skill if you don't need it for Vit or All Res, something like that. But generally you want to stack your damage on your jewelry. Finally, for gear. Now there's a few combinations you can do here. This is exactly what I recommend. Devastator is easy. This is craftable once you find the plans. And it's an automatic fire skill. That's standard. It always will roll fire skills 15 to 20%. And you'll see I didn't roll a primary, but I did roll a socket. So you want exactly what's shown here. Fire skill, strength, empty socket. Now if by some miracle it rolled fire skill, strength, and empty socket, you could try to roll another, if it rolled out another primary, you could try to roll that out for percent damage, which is nice. Because it'll just give you additional damage on top of it. Your other mace is going to be your Sunkeeper. This rolled very low damage against elites. It rolls 15 to 30. It rolled 19. So my recommendation is just if you get a Sunkeeper, use that along with your Devastator. You'll get a fire skill damage here. You'll get damage against elites and strength. You always want a socket for that crit hit damage gem, which is huge. And this is your build here. This is exactly what you want. You can interchange this with something for a little more survivability. Now, say you're using your Ring of Royal Grandeur and you have the full 4 set, so you can choose what you want to roll out or not use. So if you're in party play, you're not going to be using the Unity. I would recommend one of two things. One, instead of your Pull of the Earth, use a Mage Fist. This one is perfect. It is literally perfect. It's a trifecta. It's got fire skills and it's got strength. This is about as good of a roll as I could have gotten. So you're going to want to use this possibly to get the extra fire skills damage for your glove, or your other option, which I have here, is your Hexing Pants of Mr. Yan for your Weight of the Earth, the pants. Now what's so great about these is your resource generation and damage is increased by 20% while moving and decreased by 23% while standing still. So basically the way these work, if you're running this build, you do not want to be standing still when you go into a leap quake. You want to be walking into a leap quake 3 times, and then never stop moving. And when that happens, that's when you're going to be dealing the extra 25% when you're moving. Now, if you're going to be using the Hexing Pants, it would probably be a good idea to get rid of Hoda and instead use use Whirlwind. But make sure, again, when you're using Whirlwind, that you walk into the Whirlwind. If you're standing still when you start Whirlwinding, you will not get that damage buff. It will count as standing instead of moving. So you could use that here because you're going to be losing 23% damage with Hoda because you're going to end up standing still no matter when you use it. So those are your options for moving things around here. I want to talk about something really quick before I want to talk about these, and I want to talk about something really quick before I go ahead and show you a demonstration of this build. I don't have any of these sockets in, so my damage is greatly reduced. I'm going to be running T3 still with no socketed gems, but the damage increase when you have all of these in, especially with this critical hit damage, is huge. So what your goal is for all these, what you want is critical hit chance to be 50% or above, critical hit damage to be 400% or above, and fire damage to be as high as you can get it. I'm pretty sure max is 90 or 100. Mine's currently sitting at 81. If I was in group play, I'd have it full with this Mage Fist. You want as much fire damage as you can get, critical hit damage, critical hit chance, and yeah, that's basically what you want there. If you're looking at things that you can, minute upgrades that you can have as extra primaries on these, a good one would be attack speed, because it increases the amount of ticks you get over those 8 seconds. It makes you deal a lot more damage a lot quicker. Another one would be cooldown reduction. Mine's very low, I don't have any. If you could get maybe 20% cooldown reduction, you could basically have this up nonstop. Have your earthquakes up nonstop. All res, which here we are. All resistances with Warcry up are anywhere from 700 to 1,000. You don't need any more than 1,000. If you have any more than 1,000, your damage is going to suffer big time. But anywhere in there, and just keep in mind as you're playing that the lower your all reses are, the more you're going to have to kite, the more you're going to have to get in, pop your leap quakes, and get out instead of hanging and banging. Just keep that in mind. Health Globe Radius is nice for a secondary, so you roll something perfect, you can get a Health Globe Radius, which will help with the Reaper Wraps, so you can cast more Hoda and heal yourself more. As far as Paragon points go, so I've got some unspent because I've been playing on my Crusader lately instead of my Barb. You want to start by maxing out your movement speed. Max movement speed is 25%. So if you get 23% like me from your gear, you're only going to use 2%. Next, you're going to want to go with your strength. Then, depending on how good your survivability is, you can go to your vitality or max fury. I recommend vitality and doing max fury last because leap quake generates fury every time you leap. For this, you're going to want to start with whatever you're weakest with. So if you're weakest with crit hit chance for the moment, go with crit hit chance. If you're weakest with crit hit damage, go with crit hit damage. Now after you get one of these two done, I would recommend going cooldown reduction instead of doing the other. Now if you want to, you can go to crit hit damage and then cooldown reduction, but for me personally, I have enough critical hit damage to where it doesn't matter and I don't need it, and I can go straight to cooldown reduction. You get this up to 5%. That's just enough to make it 10%. That's just enough to help you out big time with those leap quakes. Defense. So I'm going to recommend you start with all res, then percent life, and then life regeneration. Armor's useless. Fuck armor. Nobody needs it. It's stupid. For this, resource cost reduction is number 1. Life on hit is number 2. Now, if you're going to be running a whirlwind instead of Hoda, you might want to use life on hit first and do resource cost reduction later. And that's just because you're going to be getting a lot more hits in than somebody using a Hoda build. But resource cost reduction for Hoda is key. All right. So now that I've run through everything that you need to know, I'm going to show you a working idea of what this looks like. I'm going to go to the battlefields in Act 3 because it's a very good high density place to show off this build. Or is it? Is this the place I'm thinking of? Yeah, this is the place. It should open up here. And by should open up, I mean I go over here. Okay, so basically you want to make sure you have Warcry up constantly and proc it whenever you can. You want to... I'm going to have to get a couple hits in here. Have Battle Rage up. Once Battle Rage is up, you're going to proc your Leap Quakes, then your Earthquake. Now, a big key here is with this build, and with the bonus that you get from the 4 set, you also get a 2-set bonus from the Weight of the Earth, or the Might of the Earth set. And that is, every time you land a critical hit, your cooldown of your Earthquake is reduced by 1 second. So if you're critting at 50% and you've got four Earthquakes out, and they say they hit, even just if they hit 10 times over the course of that 8 seconds, you're going to be critting 20 times. So it's going to reduce the cooldown of your Earthquake by 20 seconds. I'm having a little difficulty here. My game is lagging. I get a little bit of server lag here and there. It basically, I mean, you'll see on T3 it's melting right now, and I don't even have all my gems in. My gems make my damage go up by quite a bit. I would say roughly my damage increases by, I don't know, I'd say an extra 25 to 30% with those gems. And then Hoda, obviously, you can see is doing the work. Now, as far as cadence goes on this, you're going to want to go in, see your enemy. I'm trying to find a horde here. Okay, here's a little pack. Let's try to make a bigger pack. Here we go. So you'll make your big pack. You want to go to the edge of the pack, to the other edge of the pack, and then back to the outside so you have a way to get out. Then you can come back in. You can use your Hodas. You can also use your extra Earthquake. That's your standard Earthquake. That's not a Leapquake generated one. And then if you really want to have more damage being dealt, you can always build up these frenzies each time before you use your Leapquake, and that'll add extra damage. But basically, this is the build you want to do, the skills you want to use, the fire synergy that you want to have, and that's the way you want to use it. Hopefully I'm going to be posting more videos lately. I downloaded OBS, which is really nice for people who want to stream and want to download or make videos. It's open broadcasting software. Huge shout out to them. You can see it at the top up there, but you can follow me on Twitter at Alex_BB. I'm going to be doing some Twitch streams very soon, depending on what this looks like, what OBS looks like when I try to stream. And I'm definitely going to be buying an Elgato before I go back to school in September. So look out for streams at Twitch TV /ABeebs. Like, comment, and subscribe, please, to the YouTube channel if you like this video. I'm going to be making more tutorials and walkthroughs very soon, just on various things in the game. Stay tuned. I'm going to try to make about 3 videos a week. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it helps. Let me know if I messed anything up. Let me know if you want to know anything more, and I will try to make that video for you as soon as possible. Thank you. Have a good day.